Well, I was talking and I was muted, but it looks like I'm live on Facebook, live on YouTube, doing better than I did yesterday. And if you're here, tell me hello in the comments. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know you're here. Can you hear me now, Angela? I fixed it, I think. I hope. Yeah, okay, good. Good. Yeah, I forgot to unclick the mute button this time. Yeah, it's always something, isn't it? And that's thank goodness for the ability to refresh, recharge, and restart, reset, whatever you want to call it. So yesterday was a day, man. You may recall that yesterday I was a little frazzled when I joined you. I had literally just gotten internet connectivity prior to going live, and so with the move into my new space, and I will put pictures up in the near future. I'm actually thinking I'm going to jump offices to another office here in the same proximity, same company, but just a little more space. Anyway, so I was getting everything set up in the morning. I just didn't have the day that I would have liked to have had. We all try to plan. Will, good to see you. Angela, by the way, thank you for being here, both of you. And if you're just joining me, let me know you're here. I love to say hello. And anyway, so yesterday I try to plan my ideal weeks, right? There are certain things that I like to accomplish at certain days of the week, and then from that I structure my days to the best of my ability. And it's not always perfect, as demonstrated yesterday. But let me just tell you about the rest of my day. Oh my goodness. And this is completely unrelated to today's topic, but I just have to share for a moment. And if you've heard my podcast, the Pro Growth Podcast, then you already know today what I'm getting ready to tell you. But so I went through all of that. I had to leave work at 2 p.m. here, which was only 2 hours after I joined you, and actually about 1:30, so I could pick up one of the kiddos from their work. And so I just didn't get a lot accomplished other than setting up my office and testing all of my equipment to make sure it worked okay. But then I was like, all right, I'm going to go home, and the yard needed cut, so I was going to deal with that. And I felt good about it. It was hotter than heck out yesterday, but I was like, that's just the way I enjoy getting out and working in the yard, and I enjoy the end result, being able to look at a freshly cut lawn and enjoy the appearance and the way it makes you feel. I enjoy that. So I went home, and I should have known from the get-go that I probably shouldn't have cut the grass yesterday, because again, it was hot. But then there were some issues with my mower, and anyway, I navigated around all of that. I proceeded to cut the grass. Got the front yard done. It was looking beautiful. Started cutting the backyard. And if you've cut lawns before, you stay with me here for a moment. But typically, I start by cutting out the edges of the yard. So in the backyard, I started to go around, and I started cutting out around the trees, and I started cutting out around some yard fixtures. And about that time, oh, it's okay. Good to see you, Jamie. Better late than never. Glad you could make it. I was just talking about my day yesterday, and then I'll start in on today's topic, which I don't have a whole lot for you, but I do have a couple thoughts to share. But anyway, so I'm starting to trim out my backyard as I'm preparing to cut the grass there. I trim out the edges with the lawnmower, go all around once or twice, and then I will go back and forth in some pattern. It varies from week to week because it encourages better growth. And who would have thought that? I learned that somewhere along the line. Anyway, I get around to my second pass, and I start trimming out around. We have this swing in our backyard that's got a nice arbor, and it's got ivy growing on it. And I start trimming out around that, and I see this hornet coming at my face. And so I started to back up, and about the time I did that, I saw that there was about 10 more headed my direction. So I stumbled backwards, I fell on my butt, and then I got up, I looked around, and they're still coming after me, so I took off, right? I felt like, I guess I didn't feel like, if you've ever watched the movie My Girl, right? When the young boy gets attacked by those hornets, that's all I could imagine at the moment. And I see these hornets coming after me, so I took off running, and about the time I take off running, I feel there's one in my hair. Well, it was too late. And the end of the story, I was fine. It was definitely frustrating. I had to leave my mower alone in the yard for about 45 minutes because it was swarmed by hornets. But I got stung once on each side of my noggin. Talk about a rough day, and gratefulness to be able to go to bed last night healthy. Thankfully, I'm not allergic or anything. It's just 2 sore spots on my head, which is terrible. But to just say, you know what, this day did not go as planned, and tomorrow I'm going to make it a better day. So far, it has been. So that ability to reset, recharge, and restart is awesome. And so if you've had a bad day in the past few weeks, or maybe you're having a bad day today, then take that with you, right? We have that ability to take that time to reset, recharge, and restart. And thankfully, right? So I wanted to pose a question for you today, and that was, did you think you'd be farther along in life than where you are today? And I'm just curious. I just got off of a wonderful call, spent the last hour with Dan Miller, who is the author and creator of all things 48 Days. And we were talking about, questions related to delivery of this seminar. It's been a few years since anyone has been able to deliver this seminar, and he's just licensed and approved 19 or 20 of us to do this. And so it was just a conversation where he shared some information, but that's one of the questions. He said yesterday he recorded a podcast, and that was the hook that he used at the initial onset of the podcast was, do you think you'd be farther along in life than what you are today? So I'm curious what your answers are. And then I want to talk a little bit again about failure, because I came across some more interesting tidbits in my Rudder of the Day book. And I think, generally speaking, they pertain to the question I just posed. I'll tell you that I had hoped to be farther along in my journey than where I am today. I don't know if I thought I would be farther along, but I'd hoped to be. Jamie says, nope, she's glad to be in the spot that she's in with regards to expectations. She's quite steady with the ability to support her and her daughter and fur babies, yes. It could be much worse. It certainly could be much worse. Well, and I think I want to share these additional failures today, because I feel like, some of us, oh, Dawn, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Dawn is another veteran friend of mine, former Air Force. Let's see. She says she's actually way further along in life than she'd ever dreamed, and that quite a few folks 20-ish years ago thought I would ever be. That ties right into what I'm getting ready to share. There are many days I look around and tell my husband, damn, look at us. We did it. Yes, look at what we've achieved and accomplished. And Dawn, you are doing great things. I stay in tune with the stuff that you share all about your business, and I appreciate everything that you're doing and the journey that you're on. And I love it. I love to see those things. And Bruce says, always striving to be as far as I can go, but also content with where I am right at this moment in life. Great. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for joining, Bruce. Good to see you too. Bruce is another friend of mine I met through my financial coaching journey. Yeah, so think about this for a minute. Henry Ford failed and went broke 5 times before he succeeded. R.H. Macy failed 7 times before his store in New York City caught on. Daniel Boone was once asked by a reporter, and I like this one because my name is Daniel Boone, in case you don't know, legitimately. Once asked by a reporter if he'd ever been lost in the wilderness, and after thinking for a moment, he replied, "No, but I was once bewildered for about 3 days." Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team and later observed that he'd failed over and over again in his life, and that's why he's successful. The first time that Jerry Seinfeld walked out on stage at a comedy club as a professional comic, he looked out at the audience, froze, and totally forgot how to talk. He stumbled through 1.5 minutes of material and was booed off the stage. Winston Churchill failed the 6th grade. In 1954, the manager of the Grand Ole Opry fired Elvis Presley after 1 performance. He told Presley, "You ain't going nowhere, son. You ought to go back to driving a truck." 33 publishers rejected Chicken Soup for the Soul, which has now sold over more than 80 million copies. Steven Spielberg dropped out of high school in his sophomore year. He was persuaded to come back and placed in a learning disabled class. He lasted a month and then dropped out of school forever. And I just, so your comments just attributed to my need to read those today, because wherever you are today, things could certainly be worse. And if you feel like you could keep running into obstacles, then I encourage you to keep pushing, keep working on climbing through, pushing through, climbing over, going around, whatever it may be for you. I just encourage you to embrace those obstacles and look at creative solutions to overcome them. And that at the end of the day, just like my day yesterday, we are gifted with the ability to reset, recharge, and restart. And that's the message that I had for you today, and it ties into the antics of my day yesterday and being stung by hornets. No fun, just no fun at all. But here I am today, having a much better day, getting some things accomplished that I wish I had been able to get to yesterday. So what's on your plate today? And Will says, yes, that's very true. Things can always be worse. Absolutely, Will. By the way, we can always continue these conversations. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories, your challenges, your wins in our Facebook community. I built this group, the Clarity Collective, Clarity Collective members. If you'd like to join us there and continue these conversations, we'd be glad to have you. And thank you all for joining me again today. Good to see some fresh faces. I appreciate you all being here. I'm grateful for you as well as always. And the comments are a little slow to catch up, so I'll stick around for a minute to see if you have any more, any questions, any additional comments, any challenges or wins that you care to share with the group. Always look forward to those. This awkward silence is always fun. And I felt the need to break it. I should have just left it alone. Well, I don't see any more comments coming through just yet. I know that they're delayed, so forgive me if I cut you off. But I appreciate you all being here. That's the message I wanted to share with you today. And as always, I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.